channel yet. Today is Thursday and go watch She-Hulk. But hello, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Daniel. I'm your host, your guy in a wheelchair.
Guy in the chair.
He said it! He said it!
And today we're going to go ahead and listen to the critical drinker's thoughts of She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law. We're hitting rock bottom, so...
Congratulations, Gladriel. You've defeated everyone, as always. Well done. You can go home now.
I am grateful you have not known evil as I have. But you have not seen what I've seen.
I've seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
I've seen She-Hulk. Jesus wept. Where do I even begin with this one? I mean, I know I've shat on Marvel's TV shows in the past for basically being a never-ending race to the bottom, chewing up popular characters and tarnishing the legacy of previous movies in a desperate effort to launch next product or push the message, or just keep the content sludge pipe flowing at full capacity for Disney Plus. But as bad as they were, there was at least some semblance of quality control, some attempt to tell a coherent story. It was rarely a good story and definitely not worth your time, but you at least felt like there was some kind of point to the show. But She-Hulk is a different beast, a show that lacks even the basic elements of a story with which to grapple, whose cast of one-dimensional caricatures lurches and meanders from one pointless episode to another with absolutely no sense of where they're going or why, while desperately trying to push jokes that are about as funny as a fucking cancer diagnosis. It's a show that seems to have been conceived and written in the space of a single afternoon by a creative team, and I use the word creative to describe these people in the same way I'd use the words faithful adaptation to describe Rings of Power, that couldn't quite believe that they'd actually been given the gig. And having watched it myself, I can't fucking believe it either. And because I want to get this shit over with as quickly as possible, allow me to outline the plots. And believe me, this isn't going to take long because barely anything happens in this fucking show. The story, such as it is, picks up with Jennifer Walters, a successful attorney. And that's basically all I can tell you about her, because that's all there really is to her life and personality. She's a lawyer, and she really likes her job. And that's it. But when she's out driving one day with her cousin Bruce Banner, who somehow managed to turn himself back into Mark Ruffalo so the rest of the plot could happen, she gets involved in a car wreck because she wasn't paying attention to the roads. Take that, unfair stereotypes that women are bad at driving. And while pulling him out of the wreck, some of Bruce's blood fuses with her own, thus turning her into a female version of the Hulk. A She-Hulk, if you will. Naturally, this presents quite the problem, because randomly turning into an unstoppable rage-fueled monster could put everyone around her at risk, which means she's going to have to learn to be extremely cautious and develop absolute self-control.
You serious?
Ah, wait, I'm just kidding. That's the plot for a completely different and far better TV show. In She-Hulk's case, it's more like a light switch that she can turn on and off whenever she wants, with no repercussions, resource costs, or danger to herself. And she also remains fully lucid and in control of herself while she's in Hulk form. Well, that's lucky. It's almost like the writers now have complete creative freedom to do whatever they want with absolutely no constraints or limitations. Anyway, it's not long before she's forced to reveal her powers when this ridiculous arsehole bursts into her courtroom for absolutely no reason. Mind-blowing editing there, guys. The incident causes Jen to lose her job, but that's okay because literally 5 minutes later she's been hired by a different firm who want her to represent superheroes and villains as the She-Hulk. Well, don't you love how actions and decisions have serious long-term repercussions for the protagonist and those around them? Spider-Man could only dream of such quality character developments. Jennifer's job now is to represent people with superpowers in various court cases that showcase the writer's complete ignorance of the American legal system while navigating the trials and tribulations of dating as a famous green monster lady, thus showcasing the writer's complete ignorance of men, modern culture, and normal interaction between humans. Honestly, it's genuinely hard to know where to even begin when it comes to critiquing this show, because pretty much every single aspect of it is so irredeemably awful that it's practically a waste of time trying to sift through it. I mean, I guess we might as well start by judging a book by its cover, which in this case means the visuals. Now, anyone with functioning optic nerves doesn't need me to tell them that She-Hulk is a visual nightmare. The CG is the kind of awkward, jerky, badly animated trash that I'd expect from a low-budget superhero show from the mid-2000s. Jen moves and walks with all the grace and fluidity of an NPC from a PlayStation 2 game, to the point where I kept expecting her to get stuck in doorways and start glitching out. And it's even worse when she actually has to speak. Half the time her mouth doesn't even match up with the dialogue that she's saying.
Your Honor, I believe this information to be incredibly relevant given the nature of the complaint.
How the fuck could this come from the same studio who made stuff like Thanos? And what's truly mind-boggling is that they actually had a 6'7" model to act as a reference point for the animators, which begs the rather obvious question, why the fuck didn't they just paint her green and save themselves a shit ton of money? The writing is another massive steaming turd that absolutely has to be addressed. The overarching plot is, well, basically non-existent. Each episode feels like it was conceived by getting a group of 9-year-olds to write a bunch of single-sentence ideas onto a board and then throwing darts at them to see which ones came up. The board, I mean, not the 9-year-olds. That sort of thing doesn't end well. Believe that!
We got a bleeder!
Jen tries out a dating app. Jen goes dress shopping. Jen goes to a wedding. Jen gets ghosted by her boyfriend. Jen meets a new man. It's like fucking party time here, mate. Most episodes barely manage to scrape past the 20-minute mark, and even then it feels like there isn't enough plot to sustain them. I mean, don't get me wrong, they also feel like they're about 2 hours long, but that's just my own perception of time getting dilated by this shittiness. Whatever nonsense is going on either serves as a vague backdrop to Jen's personal issue of the week, or as a catalyst for some tedious new drama in her life. Wow, it's almost like the writers totally don't understand or care about superheroes, or the law, or constructing action sequences, or character development, and really just want to write a breezy comedy about a modern professional woman trying to negotiate a man's world. Which is all a bit of a problem when your show's entire premise is built around your protagonist being a superpowered lawyer. While we're talking about Jen though, I suppose I should mention that she's probably one of the least interesting, least intelligent, and least likeable protagonists I've ever seen on TV. Well, aside from the obvious, of course. She's self-absorbed, shallow, condescending, narcissistic, patronizing, boring, and aggressive. And that's before she even turns into She-Hulk. I've already talked about the ridiculous, unhinged rant she goes on against Bruce, a man that's lost and sacrificed more than she'll ever have.
I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
And this kind of shitty behaviour pretty much sets the tone for her entire character. She gets to do and say whatever she wants with almost no negative consequences. In fact, if anything, she seems to get rewarded for it. And if that's not an insight into the mindset of the writers, I don't know what is. For me, the hallmark of a good, well-rounded character is someone that you can picture in situations outside the scope of the story. For example, I can totally imagine what guys like Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, and Peter Parker might get up to in their spare time. But outside of working and drinking with her one and only friend, I genuinely can't picture what Jennifer Walters might do with her life. What are her interests, her hobbies, her personal history, her aspirations, her hopes, fears, dreams, and insecurities? Don't know, because the writers don't seem to know or care either. She's basically just an avatar for them to project all of their gripes and hang-ups onto. And it's a shame, really, because I think Tatiana Maslany is a pretty good actress, and I actually ended up feeling kind of sorry for her. You can tell that she's working her arse off trying to sell this shitty character to the audience, but all it really does is prove that you can't polish a turd. Tim Roth, on the other hand, delivers the kind of don't give a fuck performance that tells me the only reason he came back was a hefty paycheck. And I couldn't help but wonder, why did they choose this guy out of all the backstory characters they had available? Remember Emil Blonsky from that mediocre Hulk movie from like 13 years ago? Nah, neither do I particularly, but he's back. And now he looks and acts like a completely different character. I was also about to say that the show disrespects Wong by turning him into a goofy, clueless moron with a room temperature IQ, but let's be honest here, Multiverse of Madness already did that pretty effectively, so I guess I can't criticize She-Hulk for beating a dead horse. Honestly, Benedict Wong, you deserve far better than this. But the one that really saddens me the most is Charlie Cox's Daredevil. Don't get me wrong, out of all the flaccid, meek, brain-dead excuses for male characters in this show, he's probably the one that gets humiliated the least, and his brief court scene only serves to underline how absolutely incompetent Jen is as a lawyer.
I'm dismissing this case.
Am I gonna go to jail?
No, but I would like you to.
But man, the fact he's even in this show is like some weird taint on his character now. The fact that he went from this to this
Morning.
is something we'll never be able to wipe from our collective memory, no matter how much toilet duck we drink. Believe me, I know. And the thing is, all of this stuff, the unlikable characters, the nonsensical storytelling, the laughable special effects, would be more or less tolerable if this show managed to deliver the one thing it desperately wants to sell itself on. Comedy. But that's where She-Hulk really falls on its gigantic green arse because, well, how can I put this? It makes Amy Schumer look like Dave Chappelle.
Before you make assumptions, no, I am not a matador. That would make the two of us fighting pretty cliche, no?
You almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me up.
I just did 600. I'm not even a superhero. Hey, did somebody take our order?
Wongers, can we get further? We could talk about The Sopranos.
Fine, no more spoilers.
Honestly, if your goal is to break the negative stereotype that women aren't funny, then this show really isn't doing your cause any favors. And of course, there's only ever one target for the jokes in She-Hulk. Almost without fail, the men in this show are portrayed as incompetent, overbearing, patronizing, dumb, cowardly, weak, insecure, and comically misogynistic.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Basically just a bunch of convenient straw men for Jen to knock down with absolutely no effort. The writers seem to view men as either corrupt and arrogant egomaniacs undeserving of the success they have, or unthreatening submissive whipping boys who do exactly what they're told and know better than to question their female overlords. And I don't know, man, beneath all the smiles and the lame jokes, there's this weird undertone of spiteful bitterness and hatred to She-Hulk. But hey, it's also kind of funny once you realise you're basically seeing the writer's own personal hang-ups and insecurities projected right onto the screen in front of you. Why don't my co-workers respect me for being given a job that I didn't earn? Why do guys think it's okay to flirt with me at a bar? But also, why am I still single and staring down the barrel of middle age? Why do people question my judgment even though I'm plainly terrible at my job? Why do men not like me for who I am instead of how I look, even though I desperately want to look better? Why are my family putting pressure on me to settle down when I just want to party and pretend like I'm still in my mid-20s? Why is there nothing of substance or value in my entire life outside of work and drinking? Why can't I just do and say whatever I want with absolutely no consequences? These are all issues that I can safely label as rich liberal women problems. It's the kind of petty, mundane, and mostly self-inflicted irritations that people like Hollywood writers obsess over because it's the closest thing to adversity they've ever experienced. So naturally, they think everyone else can relate to it too, because the idea of anyone existing outside of their carefully protected socioeconomic Southern Californian bubble is some crazy mind-bending impossibility for them. Yeah, I'm sure a working-class teenager from Hicksville, Virginia, working a minimum wage job is totally going to empathize with the online dating woes of a rich, narcissistic 30-something lawyer. All of this stuff adds up to a gigantic pile of green shit. Without doubt the worst TV show Marvel has ever put out, and a complete waste of time, money, and life. And the thing is, who even really cares at this point? Marvel certainly doesn't. I'm sure it's going to get a second season, despite being an internet lolcow for the past couple of months and a complete embarrassment. And I'm sure that She-Hulk will probably end up appearing in future movies too. In which case, well, they're welcome to her. But if you value your sanity, or just the couple of hours of your life that it'll take you to fight your way through this, then you'll stay as far away from She-Hulk as you possibly can. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Hey guys, hope y'all enjoyed that of Drinker's thoughts of She-Hulk getting rock bottom. Can't everybody break the fourth wall? But they're not Daredevil, even though She-Hulk smashed him. But still, I don't know what's going on with the crazy world and Hollywood. But give it a like if you liked it. Comment down below and then subscribe for more.
you.